With coverage you can count on, this is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at noon.
Thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at noon. I'm Latrice Curry. We are following breaking news out of Dalton. Right now, police are responding to reports of shots fired at the high school. We have new information. Lori Mitchell is here. Lori, what do we know?
All right, so this is the most important thing, Latrice. We are being told by Dalton police that a male teacher, an employee of Dalton High School, is now in custody. This situation all started to unfold a short time ago when we heard there were reports of shots being fired at the high school. All of our information is coming from the Dalton Police Department, and they said all along no children have been injured. No children are in danger. We know the area inside the school was evacuated. Right now, parents are being told not to come to Dalton High School. Students are being taken to Northwest Georgia Trade Center, and that's where parents should go now. I started making phone calls just to places in the area to see what they were seeing. This is a residential area. There was one medical office nearby. They were not seeing anything or hearing anything, but we are starting to get some phone calls into our newsroom, and this is the situation we're going to be following, and we will be out here, Latrice, to bring you the most up-to-date information. But the most important thing right now is that Dalton police say a teacher is in custody. Again, parents do not come to Dalton High School. Students will be taken to Northwest Georgia Trade Center, and that's where parents are being told to go.
All right, and that's important information there, Lori, because we were saying that obviously in light of what happened in Florida just 2 weeks ago, today, parents are, that was a heart-sinking feeling when you hear that going on in school. So we do have that information. Again, want to stress that all the students are safe and no students are injured.
Right, that is correct. And when I called that medical office, they were starting to get phone calls from people who had heard something had happened at the high school. Obviously, parents very concerned. So we're going to keep monitoring this and hopefully have more updates for you coming up throughout this half hour.
Okay, thanks. And we'll try to find out more about that teacher as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all righty. I think right now we have Bruce Frazier on the phone from Dalton. Good afternoon. This is Latrice, Bruce. Can you tell me some information about right now, the very latest on what's happening there? Or like right now, what do we know about what caused this or anything at this time?
Okay, I can tell you that the subject is in custody and all danger and risk and anything like that at the high school has passed. Everybody here is safe. Nobody has been hurt. We were dispatched about 25-30 minutes ago with a report of shots fired here at the school. I don't know if a shot was actually fired. There was a subject barricaded in a classroom. It was a teacher with the weapon, not a student. A teacher with the weapon, not a student. And as far as what happened that led up to that, I don't know anything beyond that.
Okay, and really quickly here again at this time, so all of the children, you're telling parents to go at this time to the Trade Center, correct?
That is my understanding. I don't know if that's still the case, but because the subject was taken into custody so quickly. Are they still moving the kids? Okay, well, hang on.
Okay.
No. Okay, the kids are being taken to the Trade Center.
Okay.
By the school plan, and that's where the parents can rendezvous with them.
Okay, so the kids are, again, students are being taken to the Trade Center. At this time,
correct.
So you said, of course, the teacher. What type of weapon did the teacher have on him when you all took him into custody?
I don't have any information as far as what kind of weapon it was or anything like that this time. This is still kind of an evolving situation.
Okay, so again, we cannot confirm that shots were fired inside the school, and we can't confirm the type of weapon at this time. Is that correct?
Correct. That we received a report that a shot had been fired, but as far as whether or not that actually happened, I don't have that information right now. What I do know is nobody at the school was hurt, and the subject is in custody. Danger here at the school has passed. And I know that parents' first instinct is going to be to run to the school, but they need to go to the Trade Center because that's where the students are going to be.
Okay, and one last question before we go. Bruce, can you tell us anything about who this teacher is at this time? What class, what grade? Any information about the suspect, the teacher at this time?
No, ma'am. I don't have any information to release on that at this time.
Okay. Bruce Frazier, again from the Dalton Police Department, thank you so much for calling in. We do appreciate you updating us on this breaking news situation out of Dalton. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time we need to go back to that breaking news story out of Dalton. We have Kate Smith, who is on the phone, joining us on the phone. And Kate, just to update people again, this was a very chaotic and a very nerve-wracking situation for a lot of parents when they heard of shots fired at a school, a teacher barricaded inside a classroom. We know that the students are not injured. What are you hearing and seeing? Have you been able to learn anything about who this teacher is or the type of weapon the teacher had?
Yeah, Latrice, we still don't know who that teacher is or the type of weapon he or she used. We do know that the most important thing is that no children are hurt and no children are in any danger. The school was put on a lockdown. The area where that teacher barricaded himself inside of the classroom, that those students were evacuated from the school. And this is what Dalton police want me to get across to parents at home. Do not go to the high school. If you want to pick up your children, you are asked to go to the Northeast Georgia Convention Center. And I'm told that convention center is on Doug Gap Battle Road in Dalton. Like I said, we are on our way to the high school. But we do know that the teacher is in custody and no children are injured and they are not in any danger. And if you want to pick up your child right now, you are asked not to go to the high school. You are asked to go to the convention center on Doug Gap Battle Road. That's all I have for you right now. But as soon as I get to the scene, I'm going to update you with any more information we learn for now. Latrice?
All right, Kate, thank you so much for that live report. And of course, as Kate said, she is now on her way to the high school and she will update us with more information as we try to learn more about this teacher, about the situation that unfolded there, and about the type of weapon that this teacher had in the school system. Still lots of questions about this today. But again, the big thing is we want to stress no child, no student was injured in this. And go to the Northwest Georgia Convention Center, parents, to pick up your child, okay? So that is the latest information there. All right. Okay, we want to get back to that breaking news out of Dalton that we've been following from Dalton High School. Lori Mitchell is back out here with us now to update us on the very latest. Lori.
Well, what I can tell you, and this is the most important thing, we do know a male teacher is in custody. That information is coming to us from the Dalton Police Department. This all started about noon today with reports of shots fired at the high school. Police are now telling us they don't know for sure if shots were actually fired, but that teacher apparently barricaded himself in the classroom. Again, he is now in police custody. What you're looking at right now is a picture of the scene, and you can see all of the blue lights. A massive response by Dalton Police. Also, Georgia State Police responded. This happened again around noon today. No children were injured. No children are in danger. Parents, you're being asked not to come to Dalton High School. Students are being taken to Northwest Georgia Trade Center, and Dalton Police are asking us to tell parents to go there to pick up your children. We do have several crews on the way. There is a staging area set up at the tennis courts near Waugh Street at Manley Street, and that's where our crews are gathering, hoping to learn more information from police. And Latrice, we are hearing about text communication between parents and their children, of course, in light of what happened in Florida. Absolutely.
They're frantic at getting this news today.
Definitely, after what happened in Florida just a couple of weeks ago. You know, kids had their cell phones. They were out corresponding with their parents, letting them know something was happening at the high school. A very frightening situation. We are going to be following this, and we will have updates starting tonight at 5 o'clock.
Alrighty, so glad, again, the most important thing that all the students are okay.
Right.
All right, thank you, Lori. That's going to do it.
Coverage you can count on. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live at 5.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cindy Sexton. A developing story we've been following all day. A teacher fired at least one shot in a classroom at Dalton High School. Police say a witness heard gunfire and called police. We have multiple crews gathering new information about what happened. We begin with David Carroll, live in Dalton.
Well, Cindy, this afternoon, Dalton High School was a scene of panic and chaos. You had students running down the hall after a very frightening situation. 53-year-old Randall Davidson, a 14-year social studies and history teacher here at Dalton High School, apparently barricaded himself into a room. The principal tried to communicate with him, and that was not going to happen. And the principal heard a gunshot, and that's when students started running everywhere. Of course, during the past couple of weeks, we've had so many threats and scary situations in schools across the United States. As it turned out, he did not shoot himself. He did not shoot any student. He apparently shot that bullet through a window, but certainly it caused a great deal of panic. Now, here's what we know about Mr. Davidson. He has been here since 14 years. He's well known as the voice of the Catamounts in football and basketball. He even wrote a book about the Dalton sports program. And very well respected, very well liked among the students and faculty here at Dalton High School. So this certainly came as a surprise. He was certainly apprehended by police and has been undergoing various examinations, just whether it be physical, mental, just to determine what caused this gunfire to erupt here at Dalton today. Once again, the important thing, all the students are safe. One did injure an ankle in the skirmish just trying to get out of the school. Of course, the school resource officer plays an important role in events like this, and Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Kate Smith joins us now here at Dalton High School with that part of the story.
That's right, David. I spoke to several police officers who were running into the high school when students were being evacuated and hiding in classrooms, and they say it's exactly what you see on TV, and the moments were absolutely horrifying. We learned this afternoon that the school's resource officer was actually at the middle school's campus and not the high school's campus when he got the call. The school's principal radioed that Mr. Davison was not acting normal and he wasn't allowing students into his classroom. The principal tried entering the classroom, and that's why Mr. Davison said that he had a gun. Immediately, the school's principal went on the radio and said that the school was now on a threat lockdown and the school's resource officer was on his way back to the high school. I am told that threat lockdown is practiced often by students, and it's something they never wanted to do in real life.
And a lot of brave teachers today do a lot of brave acts, and so I appreciate them deeply. They did exactly what we trained to do, and so that if anything out of all this, that was good to see.
The school's resource officer is the one that got Mr. Davison in custody. He has been with the Dalton High School for only 2 to 3 years now, and parents were told not to go to the high school to pick up their children. Instead, they were directed to go to the Northwest Georgia Convention Center, and that's where we find Cameron Taylor with more.
And Kate, parents continue to pick up their kids this afternoon from the convention center. I want to show you, there's parents still spilling in, getting their kids. There was quite a long line when we were in there just a few minutes ago, but this is where parents have been told to pick up their kids and not the high school. Kids were taken here by a bus. We want to show you some of that video. There were several school buses that came here to the convention center, and parents are still rushing to get their children this afternoon. Understandably, a lot of them are upset. They were waiting for more information. One student we spoke with who was in a classroom nearby says that he heard a loud bang. He was in the classroom next door to the teacher, and from there the teacher told them to hunker down behind desks. That was his teacher in the other classroom, and that was used to protect themselves. And this student had no idea what was going on initially, but says he was frightened by what he heard.
She was everybody take cover, turn off your cell phones and be quiet, and then she made sure everyone was all right, and then she just made sure it was good, and then she started looking outside the window, making sure everything was okay, and then by then the police officers came inside and told us to run to the gym.
And those are some things that students and teachers are told they need to do whenever a situation like this arises. I was told they are on a code red for a threat. And students I spoke with never expected that a teacher would be involved in something like this. They say teachers are the ones that are supposed to protect them. And understandably, they're upset, and many of them saying that they don't want to return to school. But we are still waiting on to find out if that will be the case, if school will be in session tomorrow. For now, live in Dalton, Cameron Taylor, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Cameron. Parents were scrambling to reach their children who were inside Dalton High School. Natalie Potts has been following social media, and you can tell us how parents and students were using that to communicate.
Yeah, Cindy, it was absolutely terrifying, as you can imagine. One parent we talked to shared those terrifying moments. She tried to reach her daughter today. Anne-Marie Jacobs received a text from her daughter, Emma, saying they were, quote, "We're under a threat attack," and, quote, "it's real." Moments later, another text saying a teacher had locked himself in a room and was, quote, "freaking out, yelling." A few texts later, she wrote, he has a gun. Then, quote, people are saying he's holding kids inside of his room, but I don't know. We later learned that Davidson was in fact barricaded in a classroom by himself. Anne Marie shared with us the text she sent pleading with her daughter to answer the phone. Her daughter could not answer because the teacher was blocking the door with a desk and had instructed students to stay quiet. Not knowing what was happening, Emma then writes to her mother saying, the SWAT team is here. Now, this cell phone video from inside the school shows students running for the exit in a panic. Police say at least one student suffered an ankle injury during that chaos. That student was treated on the scene and is okay. Students we talked to say teachers encouraged them to be quiet as they ran. The teacher police say is responsible for all of this is also receiving support on social media. Many who know him are asking for prayers. Students are also posting about Davidson, saying he was a role model, making it hard to understand why this has happened. Cindy?
Natalie, thank you. Exactly 1 week ago, the principal used Facebook to spread the word about keeping students safe. Latrice Curry joins us live with more on what he had to say. Latrice.
Well, Cindy, the principal, Steve Bartu, decided to post the message last Thursday after 3 students reported that they found a threatening note on the floor of a classroom. After that, the principal and the students made videos to stress the importance of, if you see something, say something. And we have this full video on our website for you to take a look at. New this afternoon, a bill that would allow some teachers to carry guns on campuses across Tennessee. That's according to the Tennessean. The proposal will allow one school employee to carry a gun for every 75 students enrolled at the school. That person will need to maintain a state-issued handgun carry permit and complete 40 hours of handgun training. House Civil Justice Subcommittee Chairman Mike Carter of Ottawa sponsored that bill. Cindy?
Thanks, Latrice. This story is, of course, developing with new information coming in. Stay with us by downloading the WRCB app and following us throughout the evening on air. Breaking news right now. Randall Davidson has officially been charged with aggravated assault, carrying a weapon on school grounds, terroristic threats, reckless conduct, possession of a gun during the commission of a crime, and disruption of public school. He apparently took the gun onto campus in his computer case when he arrived at school this morning. We have also learned the weapon was a snub-nosed .38 revolver. Police say they still do not have a motive in the incident today in Dalton.
We begin with a developing story we've been following all day. A Dalton High School teacher is in custody after firing a gun inside the school. Thank you for joining us. I'm Latrice Curry.
And I'm Greg Glover. We're bringing you team coverage tonight. David Carroll and Kate Smith are at Dalton High School, and Cameron Taylor is at the Northwest Georgia Trade Convention Center, where students and parents were reunited. Let's go first to David Carroll. David, that teacher, of course, has been identified. Can you tell us if he has a criminal background?
No criminal background that we've been able to find, Greg. As a matter of fact, he's one of the most popular and well-known teachers here at Dalton High School. Former radio station employee. He's been the radio voice of the Dalton Catamounts football and basketball team for 14 years, in addition to his duties as a social studies and history teacher here. Very well liked by the students. We've been following social media today and looking at some of the tweets the students have posted. Very popular. He's taken students on field trips near and far, even overseas. So it came as a surprise today when something was obviously wrong. He had barricaded himself in his classroom. The principal tried to make contact. A little later, the sound of gunfire was heard, and that set off the panic that resulted in students running out of the school, looking for cover, and eventually being transferred over to the Northwest Georgia Trade Convention Center. For those of you who are just tuning in, the teacher's not injured, and there was just a minor injury of one student who hurt an ankle in leaving the scene. So that sums up what's happened here today. But of course, our crews are looking for answers, talking with students and police. Kate Smith joins us with more on what she has learned today.
Well, David, this all started a little before noon. The Dalton High School principal, Steve Bartloo, was notified that something unusual was happening in Mr. Davidson's classroom. So he went up to that classroom, and the next door room teacher, she said that Mr. Davison wasn't allowing students into his class and wanted to be alone, so his class was instructed to go to the next door classroom. That SRO officer was then notified to get to his room immediately. The principal then tried entering his room once again. Here's what's happened.
I put my key in the door, and again he slammed the door before I could open it and said, "Don't come in here, I have a gun." And so at that point, I put our school into a threat lockdown.
The threat lockdown means students have to, in the immediate area, have to leave, and then they work the rest of the students to get out of the building. The SRO officer placed Davison into custody 45 minutes after the initial call. Police say there is still a lot of questions about this investigation, and they are working to learn what his motive was this entire time. And they tell us that they will be an open book and as transparent as possible for us for those answers. It's still an active scene here at the high school. Teachers and administrators had just returned from the convention center from today's evacuation, and that is where we find Cameron Taylor with the latest. Cameron?
Kate, for several hours, parents picked up their kids from here, the convention center. I'm told that everyone has gone home at this point. As Kate mentioned just moments ago, we saw teachers and employees going back to the high school to pick up their vehicles. Now, earlier today, there were long lines of cars and also school buses who had taken students to the Trade and Convention Center. Many parents rushing to get here this afternoon to pick up their child and be reunited. One parent I spoke with says he was not far away when he learned what happened.
Why? And then I ran outside to my car and heading that way, and then I dialed 911. And then they told me, don't go there, just stay put where you at. So I just stayed. I was just like 2 minutes from there, so.
And some students that we spoke with outside the Trade and Convention Center that were reunited with their parents, you could just see fear in their eyes. A lot of them could not find the words to explain what happened today at school. Understandably, all of them were shaken up this afternoon, and we're going to hear from them coming up later at 6. For now, live in Dalton, Cameron Taylor, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
You're looking at Snapchat video from a student. You can see several students there running through the school trying to get to safety. I'm Latrice Curry in for David Carroll, who is live at Dalton High School.
And I'm Cindy Sexton. Our Channel 3 crew is covering every angle of the incident. Let's begin with David with details on the man who fired the shot in the school. David.
Well, Cindy and Latrice, you've seen that frightening video out of Dalton High School today. One of this school's most experienced, most well-known, most popular teachers is in custody right now, being evaluated mentally and physically as a result of his actions this afternoon, right around the lunch hour. And as a result of all this, Randall Davidson, 53 years old, a 14-year teaching veteran at Dalton High School, faces 6 charges: aggravated assault, carrying a weapon on school grounds, terroristic threats, reckless conduct, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and disrupting a public school. It all started when he was barricaded in his classroom. No one could get in, including the principal. Then there was the sound of a gunshot. Then the panic and chaos that resulted from kids just trying to get away from the school. Now, this is a man who's taught social study and history for 14 years. He's been a football and basketball announcer on the radio, and certainly one of the iconic figures at Dalton High School. But his career certainly in jeopardy tonight. We're just glad to report that the students are safe. And that's what Kate Smith will be talking about this evening, those efforts to keep the students safe and to try to get the school back to normal sometime soon. Kate?
That's right, David. I spoke to several police officers who say even though they trained for something like this, running into that school when they knew what was happening was absolutely terrifying. Dalton police were on scene immediately. The principal says Mr. Davison locked himself into his classroom and told police and other teachers to go away, that he wanted to be alone. When the principal tried entering his classroom, that's when he heard he had a gun, and that's when he heard gunshots. The school immediately went onto a lockdown, and students were evacuated from the high school.
It's scary, real scary, but it took me a minute to collect my thoughts, particularly after I'd heard the gunshot. But you kind of go into a point where you do what you're supposed to do and what you train to do, and that's exactly what occurred then at that point. So.
Every semester, students here at Dalton High School have training for lockdown situations. The principal also says that counselors will be at the high school when school resumes. Police say they still have a very long investigation ahead of them. They are trying to learn what this motive is, that why Mr. Davison did something like this. Still an active scene here at Dalton High School. Teachers have just returned from the convention center back to the high school, and that's where the school was evacuated to, and that's where parents were told to pick up their children, and that's where we find Cameron Taylor. And Cameron, how are students handling this situation?
Well, Kate, understandably, they were upset. They had fear in their eyes and were struggling to find the words to talk about what happened at school today. We're here at the convention center where everyone has gone home for the night and is with their family. Now, but earlier today, the convention center was packed with cars and school buses. Parents were rushing here to pick up their kids after hearing that a teacher locked himself inside a classroom and fired a shot. The school was put on lockdown after all this unfolded. Police evacuated the school, took them here. The line to get to the convention center stretched for at least a mile. It was by the interstate. Once parents got inside, it wasn't much better as they waited to be reunited with their kids. A few students we spoke with described what happened and how they were feeling while they were at school.
Just heard code red and there was going to be a lockdown, so every students were just panicking. We didn't really know what to do, but our teacher helped us calm.
Terrified. I'm not even going to school tomorrow. Just crazy.
Many students that I spoke with today say this teacher was well liked, but they did notice that his behavior changed recently. We did ask school officials and police about whether, if anything, had changed in his personal life, but they say they were not aware of anything like that. Of course, they were telling us that they were not aware of it and that this teacher was fit to teach. Live in Dalton, Cameron Taylor, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.